So there's 1 and 2. After that, we've got the pedigrees, which will be the pedigree lab right here. Pedigrees are kind of fun. I'm going to zoom in just right here on the pedigree. Oh, that's pretty good detail. Again, you need to make sure that you read this introduction up here. This is crucial information, children. All right. And then we're going to do the pedigrees. You only need to do the first and the second page here. If you do the first page, you do the second page, and you ace it all, you're going to be looking good. I'm going to check in the first page. I'll check these on the second page real quick. But let's get on into this pedigree here a little bit for a little bit of an explanation. So you have the pedigree, and they've got the key over here. The boxes in a pedigree are always boys. Boys are always boxes, and the ladies are always going to be shown by the circles. The circles for the ladies, and the boys are a whole bunch of squares, man. What differs is what is shaded, what is not shaded. Whatever trait they're studying, they tend to shade that one in. So here, this is about albinism, which is where, you have no pigment. I'm not talking like, I'm pretty pale in the wintertime. I'm talking like your skin is actually like the color of this paper, just pure white. You get like weird red eyes. You can't be exposed to the sun for any amount of time at all. What a pedigree does is it lets you track a trait through the generations. Before, we were relying on like test cross and other things to figure out if the trait is dominant, recessive, what have you. Pedigrees are a way that you can look at that pattern over a number of families and do what Mendel did, work out the ratio and think about what the trait will be. So in the first generation, you see there is nobody having the trait. We're going to do this one together. In the second generation, again, nobody having the trait, and there were 1, 2, 3 children. You had 1 girl and 2 boys. The lines here in between represent marriage, and then the vertical line coming down like this represents the making of the babies. Make sure that when you have the babies, you don't do something like that. That right there, boys and girls, is incest. That's illegal. So we try to stay away from that. So again, this is how you represent children here. They got the Roman numerals showing the generations, and they number the people just to make your life a little easier. So you see down here, we've got this girl and this boy down here in the final generation having the trait. And so whenever you see someone having the trait and neither of their parents had it, that'd be like those yellow peas giving you a little bit of green pea action. This is going to most likely be a recessive trait. And since we're still only dealing with autosomal traits, it's safe to go with this just nice and autosomal. So this is an autosomal recessive trait. I would even probably write off to the side, recessive, autosomal, right? And so based on that, you should be able to track the trait back. And we know that these people here having the trait are going to be albino. They're little a, little a. And we know that one of those little a's had to come from each of the parent because that's where your genes come from, children. They come from your parents. Because these people also don't have the trait, we know that their other allele had to be the big A covering it up. Which also means that if, he's got a little a and she has a little a, that one to both of these parents had to be hiding it. We know their phenotypes are normal, but we know that one to both of them were hiding this recessive allele that got passed down. Did it come from dad or did it come from mom? It's kind of hard to tell with this one, and that's just going to be that. Anytime you see, again, a trait where the parents don't have it, but the children, at least one of them has it, and this is a perfect 3-to-1 ratio, that's going to be recessive. They talk about some traits like, haven't you heard it like, oh, it skips a generation. That's a textbook example of a recessive trait. It doesn't actually skip a generation. It's just, it will get covered up if there's any dominant traits that come in there. And so you'll have parents who don't show the trait having offspring who have the trait. So that's the pedigrees. You're going to answer these questions. Again, you only need to do the first 2 pages.
And just to get a different look, do this next one too.
This page and this page.
And just to get a different look, do this next one too.
And then have me check them. If they're good, you can be done. If they're, not so good, we're going to talk about them, and then you're going to do the rest of these for a little bit of practice to solidify the concept, including this one's my favorite. You get to make your own pedigree. Make sure, you draw all the lines and stuff properly. And again, if you get through this entire worksheet and you're like, man, I struggle through it, I don't feel comfortable at all, not to worry, because I have a whole nother worksheet, and we'll call it 3.5, full of pedigree problems, and they're pretty easy to just Google up some more pedigrees. Now, once you've gone through 1 through 3, that can move us on to number 4. These are our non-Mendelian traits, but before you do this one, there's a lecture to go with it.